Good morning. It's now another time for us to take a look at what's happening on the front pages of our local dailies here in studio on this 14th day of March 2022. And in studio, I have got retired Inspector General of Police. All right. Assistant of Police. That is Charles Owino, who is also Siaya Governor gubernatorial aspirant in studio with me today. Welcome to the show, Charles Owino.
Asante sana.
And you something interesting, you said that this is where it all began.
Yes, 15 years ago, I started my journey for communication here.
Yes.
I started by undertaking a program called Know Your Policeman every Sunday.
Yes.
I was interviewed by Kasuja Onyonyi every morning.
Yes.
I was still staff officer at Railway Police.
Right.
And then after that, one morning, I was told that I had been appointed a deputy spokesperson.
One morning.
So
it all began here?
Yeah, so my communication for the police began here.
Yes.
And I think because I've just joined a new area, and that is politics, I'm also glad that by coincidence,
yes,
the major stint starts here today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And welcome. And we are starting it off on front pages of local dailies. I have got the Standard here. And on the front page of the Standard, Kenyans suffer as Ukraine war hits food prices. Kenyans buy wheat and fertilizer from Russia and Ukraine, and both countries have banned exports, meaning cost of bread and farm inputs will rise. Now, shilling has also weakened against US dollar, to so cost of national debt that has gone up. That's what's on the front page of the Standard here. And still on the front page, Kalonzo hits out at Raila Ngilu for Azimio's standoff. Now, Wiper Boss says that Odinga delayed his signing of the deal because he did not want anything to do with Oka, and that Ngilu did not want him to benefit from joining Azimio. Charles, a lot's happening politically speaking. It was a busy weekend, and such sentiments now perhaps exposes what was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think before that,
yes,
I have a big national interest in the first headline.
The Kenyans suffer as Ukraine war hits food prices.
Yes, Kenyans suffer. Our economy largely is agricultural, and we are facing a lot of challenge because the price of fertilizer has gone up. Now in my rural area, I think we are buying a bag of DAP at between 6,500 and 7,000.
Yes.
And this is our planting season. For some of us who are farmers, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, if you have good acres of land.
Yeah, majority of, even the peasants who are doing 1 acre, 2 acres, 6,500 is far much ahead.
Yes.
Because we've been buying at about 3,000 and it was still high. Also, given your production, you would ask, how much are you getting per acre?
Yes.
So I think this is a serious factor now that we get our fertilizer majorly from Russia and Ukraine. Right. I think this is going to hit us, and more so the peasant farmers that rely, because our economy is agricultural generally, and people need food.
Yes, and even on the front page it says that 172 shillings, that's the cost of 2 kg packet of wheat flour, and 6,500 shillings, that's the cost of 50 bag that you talked about of fertilizer, and 114 shillings exchange rate of the shilling against the US dollar. Perhaps we can only hope that at some point things are going to actually formalize and we go back to our normal lives.
Yes, it's tricky, and that is why in our discussion, as we come in, you'll find that there is need to unite the country and boost economy so that all of us can be able to access money.
Yes.
It's very, very important.
Right.
And we look at it politically, how probably politics affect our opportunities to make money collectively as a nation. Because even if you make money as an individual, you'll simply keep it and keep it in the bank, and it is the banks that will do business with it. But the rest of the people will not have the money. So we are looking at an economy where each and every person makes money, or the country makes money collectively and ensures even distribution. And that is actually the meaning of politics. Because politics, you get power and you use that power to create wealth
as well. Exactly.
And then when you've created that wealth, you distribute that wealth to the people. That's the baseline.
You know what worries many people is that they have been petitioning, or actually talking to the government to make sure that the cost of living is reduced.
Yes.
But as it is right now, Kenya is suffering. There's that ripple effect.
Yes.
Because we are an international country. We depend on so many things. We depend on exports and imports. But then we have got the Ukraine and Russia war. Perhaps we can only imagine how other countries which are landlocked are also suffering. You know, Kenya is not alone.
Yes, but you see, Kenya is a lucky country.
Yes.
Because we are surrounded by so many landlocked countries. Currently, we are doing one of the best ports regionally. Lamu Port will be able to carry very big ships. And we are able to support our landlocked countries. And we make business out of it. You know, Ethiopia is landlocked, South Sudan. Yeah. Uganda, Rwanda, and so on. And that is why you find that this has also supported us. Despite high levels of corruption within ourselves, we have still managed to keep our economy afloat. Otherwise, if it were not for the fact that we are not landlocked regionally, then I think we would have been
a different story altogether.
Yes.
All right, on the front page of the Star, I have vote blocks shaping Raila route to battle. Activities in regions with over 2.5 million votes likely to influence outcome, and the story continues to say that areas not focused on traditionally now stand to determine race. We have got picture there of Musalia Mudavadi, ANC leader, that is Deputy President William Ruto. We have got Moses Wetangula and Kavogo. Yesterday they came together at Thika Stadium in Kiambu and they hit out the president. That was bare knuckles, so to speak. And front page again, they say that over 831,000 students to sit KCSE examinations starting today. But then it continues to put down there Mumia's sugar, dash dreams and court battles. That has not been effected. Thousands of farmers relied on the once biggest sugar farm in Eastern Africa, actually controlling 50% of Kenya's market. It is now its heyday. The mailer would crush up to 7,000 tons of cane per day, producing at least 250,000 metric tons of sugar annually. You know what's happening, well, Charles, because when you look at western side of Kenya, we talk of Mumias, talk of Awendo Sony Sugar, talk of Miwani. All these companies used to produce sugar that were being consumed in the entire country. But the Mumias sugar issue is quite emotive. Why do you think so?
I think we were doing very well.
Right.
In the Western Sugar Block. That is from Sony Sugar, Miwani, Chemelil, Mumias. And what has basically happened is that I think it started with cartels.
Yes.
Who are importing sugar. Because if you import sugar, then it means, and you import sugar at a very low price.
Yes. Because
of the mode of farming. Our farms are slightly smaller. If you go to Brazil, you find they have bigger farms.
Right.
We rely on rainfall. So you find that production per acreage and tonnage of sugar, the cost of production is high. So you find that mostly what happens is that we face a situation where our cost of production of sugar per ton is quite high. And then you find that the price of sugar outside there, with those who are producing sugar in Brazil and the rest, is quite low. So with that kind of competition regionally, and then you remember that also we are in the East African bloc, where we had also to give a certain percentage of sugar to be brought into the country. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yes.
So if we take that competition, like Egypt sugar, Zambia, Malawi sugar, you find that our cost of production of sugar is very high.
Yes.
So we must come up with a system where we can reduce the cost of production of sugar per tonnage. Once we reduce the cost of production of sugar per tonnage, then we are also able to compete in the market. And this is the only thing that can keep us afloat. But equally, we must come up with very stringent measures where we are not going to have a large quantity of imported sugar in the market. But when you have a tough cartel, then most likely we will suffer in terms of sugar production.
Okay.
And it has killed our economy in the Western region.
Okay, but let's just cross to Starehe Boys Center, where we have got a reporter, Ruth Wamboi, there standing by to give us an update on what's happening. There we have got Ruth. Ruth, good morning. The Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education begins this morning with over 800,000 students sitting this particular paper. What can you tell us from Starehe Boys?
Thank you so much, Victor Olo. We are coming to you live from Starehe DCC Center, where all the papers for Starehe constituency, this is the depot where they have been dispatched to the managers who are taking them to the schools within this constituency. And the CEO of FONEC, Njengere, has just opened the container, and he just said that he has ensured that everything is intact and the papers are safe and ready for the students to administer. Some of the things that he has said is a challenge to them for now. He has said mobile phones. Mobile phones are a challenge to them because they say they are the ones that are being used to practice exam malpractice. So they have he has tasked the exam managers to ensure that all mobile phones are away from all the schools. Victor?
All right, I think we've lost Ruth there. Okay, we'll try to get Ruth back online to give an update on what's happening. That is Starehe DCC, and she's giving us an update on what's happening there with the papers being distributed to various parts of that particular region, with the students expected to start sitting their examination this morning. We will get back to Ruth as soon as we get her back online. All right, so on the front page of the Daily Nation, what do you have, Charles, there?
It's Ruto versus Uhuru. In the fight for his own succession, President Kenyatta is in the crosshairs of his deputy, who less than 24 hours after the launch of a Grand Azimio coalition, fired a trade against his boss yesterday, accusing him of calling him a thief and betraying him at his greatest hour of need. Ruto is angry, and so is the president.
We've had this for quite some time.
Yes.
Right.
I don't think this is peculiar. Deputy versus the boss.
Yes.
You remember the first president, Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi. They differed purely on policies.
Yes. Because
Jomo Kenyatta was purely he believed in developing economy. He's a capitalist.
Yes.
And Jaramogi was a socialist by the nature of his upbringing. So Jaramogi's social life, he grew up locally. Apart from going to Makerere, most of his stint was locally here. And by the nature of his community and so on, they are more of socialists. And Kenyatta had an opportunity, Mr. Jomo Kenyatta, to live in Britain in his early days for over 18 years. And therefore, he believed in a capital kind of economy. So they differed in policy. And when they differed in policy, they had to part ways bitterly for very many years. Murumbi came in, more of a Muzungu culture. He couldn't fit. Then Moi came in. Why did Moi succeed? Moi succeeded because he was patient. He bared a lot of trash, a lot of problems, people looking down upon him. And eventually he succeeded President Kenyatta. Right. Then Mwai Kibaki came in as Moi's deputy and as a vice president. And they worked together for almost 10 years up to 1988. They could also have differed in terms of their belief system and their policies. And they had to part ways. And Kibaki's career, you know, as a brilliant student throughout his life, going to Makerere, going to School of Economics in London, coming in immediately as a young man, under 30 years, becoming administrator for KANU, becoming a cabinet minister, rising to become a vice president. Then suddenly he went down and became a minister from vice president and came down to opposition leader. And then with time, after some time, came up. And then these are things that happen. Even even Raila Odinga said Kibaki tosha. But they didn't manage, I think, because of the way they were looking at things. And Raila came down and came up again, became a prime minister, came down again, and is now again, strangely, in a peculiar way that people never expected, coming up again. So it's not strange for a president.
So it's about policies and ideologies.
It's ideologies,
right?
And the way an individual looks at things. And I think this one is not peculiar at all. What it calls for is tolerance. It calls for high tolerance amongst political leaders, and also everyone to look at history. What has happened to everybody who has ascended to the level of the presidency? It may not be now, but you can still have it tomorrow.
But why Ruto versus Uhuru? Why not Raila Odinga? Because it's Raila Odinga who is in that contest right now. I
think people are looking at it differently, in the sense that many people expected President Uhuru to support Ruto's presidency, given that Ruto supported him for presidency. But what people are not looking at is what is President Uhuru trying to do? What is his objective? Because if you look at Azimio La Umoja's pillars, one of it being managing divisive politics, and another one is managing divisive electoral process, issues of managing corruption, issues of managing insecurity, and then issues of revival of the economy. Because divisive politics, bad electoral process, corruption, insecurity, all these combined give us a bad economy.
Exactly.
And that ought to be managed. But look at our political history. We are looking at a situation where we have been divided from independence. A winner gets it, a winner takes it all. Then we have politics from day one. Like, for example, you find that we have carried out an election, and then immediately after that,
another cycle begins.
Another cycle begins. So we are not concentrating. We are not doing business. We are not looking at our country in a holistic nature on how do we revive the country. For example, it has been believed that every time the community from the mountain and the lake unite, we always find a very fast growth of economy. Because the lake people, the lake region people, have been agitators. When they see something they think is bad, they come up, they oppose it,